Halito Chimachukmaya. This is Chief Steve coming at y'all with another one. Another episode of True Story here. I'm reading out of the book of Houses and House Life of the American Aborigines. This is basically a book that was made in 1881 by Lewis Henry Morgan. And he was born in 1818 through 1881. The publication date was the year of his death, 1881. And this has to do with the Indians of North America, social life and customs. And you notice here, houses and house life of the American Aborigines, which further goes to show you that during this time and before this time, we as ancient copper-colored Aborigines, we were not living in, we weren't living your stereotype of, Hollywood Indian kind of feel. We weren't doing all that. We had houses. We were master builders. We were mound builders. And not only were we building mounds, we were building houses. We had full-blown houses. We had tenements. We had apartments. All the stuff that you basically see today is basically what was here back in the day. You know what I'm saying? So nothing is new under the sun is what I'm trying to get to. We were doing this way before any foreigners came. We took care of our people. We fed our people. Nobody went hungry. And you're about to see that right now. The specific category that I'm going to talk about right now is the hospitality of the American Aborigines. I'm going to read a couple passages for you, and I'm going to just leave it to y'all to, basically have an opinion for yourself as to how we was really living. But, I see a lot of people that go over, the history and stuff, and they go over what we looked like and how we did, but nobody really goes into the aesthetics of our people, what we were doing back then and how it relates to what we do now. And whenever you go to somebody's house, for the most part, especially you go into an old head's house, elder, in grandma's house, auntie or whatever, that you always gonna have some food waiting for you there. If it ain't no food that's already made, somebody's gonna have some food being made. When we all get together as a community, as a family, and we function together, our kickbacks, our reunions and everything like that is what? One common thing amongst all our people is we always got food ready and available. It's all about the hospitality. And our ancient Aborigine ancestors were doing the same thing. Always had food on the table, always ready to receive people with open arms. Now, some of the foreigners had took advantage of that, of course. But before things really got heated between them, we were the first ones to show true hospitality. And that's something that Lewis Henry Morgan, that he states in this. So without further ado, let's get into the book. So I'm going to start right here. That line above, Aborigines. Because I highlighted Aborigines because I wanted y'all to know that we're talking about the Aborigines. You may hear native here and there, but understand what the definition of native is. The definition of native is somebody who's native to the land, who's living there. It doesn't necessarily mean Aborigine, but in this case, it's talking about Aborigine because, okay, like I was saying, it doesn't necessarily mean a tribe or native today can mean anybody that's been born here in the United States. But back then, they were referring to the natives as the Aborigines, because as you can see right here on this line where we're about to start, we're talking specifically about the Aborigines, hence the title of the book. So here we go. The law of hospitality, as administered by the American Aborigines, tended to the final equalization of subsistence. You know, subsistence is food. It's what we eat. Hunger and destitution could not exist at one end of an Indian village or in one section of an encampment, while plenty prevailed elsewhere in the same village or encampment. You see that? It was basically saying that nobody went hungry. We didn't know about, hunger as far as like people being homeless, people not having no food to eat, all these problems that we're having here today. We did not have those problems back then. We always made sure that our people stayed fed and everybody had a roof over their head, because everybody that was in our tribes, that was in our villages for the most part, was family. Whether you were intermarried from one tribe to another, or if you was born of the clan, born of the tribe, everybody knew everybody. Everybody was family. We treated each other as equals, from the chief all the way to, the smallest baby. We always made sure everybody was taken care of. All right. It says it reveals a plan of life among them at the period of European discovery, which has not been sufficiently considered. See? So from there, we're going to be going down a little further. A little further down to get a good example of what was going down back then. We're going to get a good, clear example of the earliest hospitality to the Indian tribes, to the foreigners, the Europeans that came through. But keep in mind, when I'm talking about this, and I'm going to be stopping and expounding on some things, keep in mind of the setting, the environment, the atmosphere, and see how it relates to life today. All right, so here we go. One of the earliest notices of the hospitality of the Indian tribes of the United States was by the expedition of Philip Amidas and Arthur Barlow under the auspices of Sir Walter Raleigh, which visited the Algonquin tribes of North Carolina in the summer of 1584. This is 1584. This is pre-colonial. You feel me? This is before 1776 and all that going down. They landed at the island of Waucocan off Albemarle Sound when, quote, there came down from all parts great store of people, whose chief was Granganamio. He was very just of his promises, for oft we trusted him and would come within his day to keep his word. So he was a man of his word. He was a chief. He was powerful. And whatever he said he was going to do, he did it. He sent us commonly every day a brace of ducks, conies, hares, and fish, sometimes melons, walnuts, cucumbers, peas, and diverse roots. Okay? Keep in mind all these foods. We had all these foods before the Europeans even came out here. We were eating real good out here before any of the Europeans came here. Okay? After this acquaintance, myself with 7 more went 30 miles into the river Ocam that runneth toward the city of Skikoat. And the evening following, we came to an isle called Roanoke. From the harbor where we entered 7 leagues. At the north end were 9 houses. You hear me? Houses, not tents, not teepees, houses, builded with cedar, fortified round with sharp trees, palisaded. And if you want to see what palisaded looks like, I'm going to give you a good example of what they saw. I'm going to pause for the cause, and I'm going to get right back to it. All right, y'all, we're back. So this is what I was talking about. These are like the palisades or palisades. Basically, it's like an encampment, like a little round barrier around here, kind of like a wall. You know what I'm saying? So that's what's going on. That's what they basically seeing. All right, so we're gonna go back to what we were hitting up. Hold on 1 second. Alrighty, y'all, we're back. So you guys kind of got an idea of what they seen when they came through. And like I showed y'all, these were houses that were built. These weren't tents, these weren't teepees. There wasn't no primitive type of anything. We were very advanced, and they was real astonished by it for the most part. And you can kind of see where they kind of get their house buildings and stuff from us now. And there's way more different illustrations and things that I can show y'all, and those are gonna come at a later time. But for today, we're just gonna get into this a little bit just to show y'all. That was just a general idea of what the environment they was coming into. And you know, they weren't just you know, coming into the middle of a dirt field or in the middle of a, you know, and just like, okay, well, nah, these people had everything set up. They was ready to receive folks, and they was taking care of their people. And they really admired us, and you can say envied us for it as well. So, but here we go, continuing with the passage here. It says, at the north end were 9 houses, built with cedar, fortified round with sharp trees, palisaded. And I showed you what palisaded means. It's basically fenced off. And the entrance like a turnpike. And for my Nijis on the East Coast, y'all know what a turnpike is. When we came towards it, the wife of Granganamio came running out to meet us. Her husband was absent. She was commanding her people to draw our boat ashore for beating on the billows. So they had people who draw their boats in. Others she appointed to carry us on their backs to land. So they made sure they had some strong brothers to come out there, put them on their backs so they don't get too wet, you know, and so they don't mess up their clothes or nothing. You know, so our brothers probably had like, you know, some loincloths and some, you know, no shirts and stuff, just ready to get in the water. And, you know, they took them to the land. Others to bring our oars into the house for stealing. Okay. So when it says, when we came into the other room, came into a room in a house, for there were 5 in the house. So we're talking about, these aren't just little prehistoric, you know, little buildings or little, you know, clay makeup thing. These are straight up houses made out of cedar. These are cedar wood houses. And these are 5-room houses. This house had 5 rooms in it. So you can tell, I mean, that illustration that I showed y'all didn't do it no justice. Imagine you know what a 5-bedroom house look like, or a house with 5 rooms, whether it be, you know, a kitchen, a living room, and like 3 bedrooms or whatever, or you know, and then you guys get the idea. These were advanced. She caused us to sit down by a great fire, and after took off our clothes and washed them, of some of our stockings and some of our feet in warm water. So we was washing their clothes. We knew how to wash clothes. We knew how to scrub. We knew how to bathe. We knew these things. Everything that we did today, that we do today, we were doing back then. We were not savages or primitive. We didn't know about no running water or nothing like that. Nah, we knew about it. We had irrigation systems. We had all that stuff. Like I said, everything that's in the United States today, a majority of it is not foreignly influenced. The majority of it is from here. Okay? It was already here. And we'll go more into that on another day as well. But look at the similarities. This is 5 in the house. 5 rooms in the house. Got their clothes off in the first room, washing them off with warm water. Even got in a place where they could wash their feet. Excuse me. And so after that, says she herself took much pains to see all things well ordered and to provide us victuals. So they made sure they got everything that they need. The chiefess was taking care of everything. It says, after we had thus dried ourselves, she brought us into an inner room where she sat on the board, standing along the house, somewhat like fermenti, sodden venison, and roasted fish. In like manner, melons raw, boiled roots, and fruits of diverse kinds. Their drink is commonly water boiled with ginger. So they had ginger water. Sometimes with sassafras and wholesome herbs. So we was sipping tea. We drank tea. We were tea drinkers. She had all these fruits and vegetables, all these different meats laid out, already made. That's how hospitable we were. You see how we do things now when we go to family functions. You know, well, usually everybody done took their baths and washed their clothes and stuff by the time. But think about when you coming out of town and going to a family member's house. And you coming in from out of town. The first thing they want to do, get your clothes off. Go on and, we'll wash up and we're going to feed you. See? And it says right here, a more kind, loving people cannot be. Which means a lot of these foreigners haven't even ran into people that was this kind and hospitable. That was this, giving and welcoming. It says, beyond this isle is the mainland and the great river Okan, on which standeth a town called Pemiok. And it says, this is about the first, if not the first, English picture we have of Indian life and of English and Indian intercourse in America. It is highly creditable to both parties, to the Indians for their unaffected kindness and hospitality, and to the English for their appreciation of both and for the absence of any act of injustice. At the same time, it was simply an application by the natives of their rules of hospitality. And as we quoted before, when they say natives, they're talking about the American Aborigines. So at the same time, it was simply an application by the natives of their rules of hospitality among themselves to their foreign visitors, and not a new thing in their experience. So we were trading with each other. We knew of each other for a long time before they decided to do what they did. Before the wars had happened, we were trading with each other. We was taking each other in. When they was coming here, we was hospitable. We was giving. We was treating them like family. You know what I'm saying? And thus, they gave us things, we gave them things. But like I said, out of that admiration, I'm sorry, I'm getting my words tied up. Out of that admiration came a bit of envy. And with that envy came the hatred. And with the hatred came everything else. The wanting to take what was ours. And that's why you see everything that's here today, for the most part, is not foreignly influenced. It was already here. We had houses. We had apartments. We were never in tents and teepees. We were doing the damn thing. And they decided to come over here and take what was ours and call it their own. Okay? So I'm going to just end it on here on this note. Once again, this is Houses and House Life of the American Aborigines. I'm definitely going to get more into this book. I got bookmarks. And once again, the source is archive.org. You can find this book for yourself. Keep on reading through it. And yeah, if you like the video, like it, throw it a thumbs up, comment, show me how show me your support, and share and subscribe. Subscribe to this channel because it's definitely more to come. All right, y'all. Y'all stay up, stay strong. Tata Kista, I cherish y'all, and we'll see you again soon.